Hey everybody, what's going on? I think I'm finally back. I've been gone for a couple weeks. Not because I wanted to, but I couldn't afford to pay my internet bill, so the internet company shut my internet off. I finally broke down and went and asked my mom if I could borrow some money to get ahead a little bit so I can pay her back. Because I went and got another job and whatnot, and yeah, so hopefully I'll be back. There's a ton of information that I've missed from other people and a ton of information that I've wanted to talk about. I just haven't had the opportunity to really put it out. All I've had was the hotspot on my phone, and it only has 2 gigabytes, which really doesn't get you very far, especially in regards to videos and whatnot. And you know what? I probably won't make a video showing my face again. Just randomly, I was sitting here like, hey, I should just make a video showing my face just in case people ever want to know what I look like. I used to have long hair. I just cut it right before Halloween. I feel really strange because I look all like a normal person, and like, or at least from around here. But I just, I don't make videos showing my face because I don't like the camera on me. I can't think it's clear. I don't know. It just bothers me. Maybe it takes time to get used to, but that's why I don't do it. But, this video goes out to the one guy who always says that I'm Zachary K. Hubbard with voice manipulation. I'm totally not Zachary K. Hubbard, so whatever. So, I want to go clear back and talk about some of the stuff that happened on November 19th. But before I do that, I want to show something about the new job that I started. So, I just went to the local gas station and I got a part-time job because basically what happened, my girlfriend was making a ton of money at the packing plant. She convinced me to quit my good job where I was just like sitting there typing and listening to documentaries and YouTube videos and whatever. I quit back in June, and she just wanted me to take care of our daughter. She was making plenty of money to pay for all the bills. Our $12,000 house is paid off, so we don't really have any bills other than, internet, TV, whatever. But we literally had no money saved up whatsoever, and a bunch of things happened. We had to take our daughter to the specialist and the doctor, whatever, and spend a bunch of money, and I ran out. That moral of the story, I ran out of money, so I just got another part-time job to make ends meet. And I've also was DJing over the summer, and the summertime is great for DJing. It starts getting cold out. There's not really a whole lot of DJ gigs other than, Christmas or the night before Christmas and New Year's Eve. I did do one on the night before Thanksgiving, but, just haven't made any money. So I got a part-time job at the gas station, and moral of the story, they made me take one of them little CBLs or computer-based learning tests about selling cigarettes to minors. And it was hilarious. I was taking this test, and the statistics that they gave in it, I can't remember what the exact statistic was, but the numbers in it were 440,000 and 193,000. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Gas station in Gematria equals 44. It's all about selling cigarettes or tobacco to minors. Cigarettes equal 44. Cancer equals 44. Chemo equals 44. The word kill equals 44. And then the stat was 440,000. The other stat, 193,000. 193 is the 44th prime number. And the whole thing was all about tobacco as well. Tobacco in Gematria equals 59. The word kill in Jewish Gematria equals 59. So it's just like, even at the gas station that I'm working at, their little computer-based learning test that they probably lots of gas stations do, it's coded by the numbers, Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm going to show one thing here. The reason I haven't responded to anybody, I've been on with my hotspot. And even before that, and I say this all the time, I cannot reply to anybody. It does not let me reply. Look, I'm clicking reply. It doesn't do anything. It does the same thing on my YouTube videos. And, if I go to like Zach's blog, once in a while it'll let me reply. Like, it lets me reply to this person. There's other people absolutely won't let me reply. The other day I was trying to write something to somebody. It let me go all the way down. I'd click reply, it wouldn't do anything. It would let me go all the way to the bottom where I could type a message, whatever. I typed the message, I'd push publish, it wouldn't even send it. It would just do nothing. So once in a great while, it lets me comment back to people, and I try to go and comment like crazy to as many people as I can. But that's just, you get so far behind, you don't even know what you're talking about. And then when I do actually get to leave a message, when somebody comments back to me, the messages just disappear. So I don't even know what I was talking about to begin with in the conversation. So I'm truly sorry. I get a lot of great comments. I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. I truly appreciate everybody's opinion. I truly appreciate, things I've learned from multiple people, or just things to think about that people give me. So if I don't respond, I am truly sorry. I just don't know what the deal is. I don't know how to fix it. I thought I had it fixed, and then it worked for a day or something, and then it just goes back, does the same thing. So let's see here. I'm going to pause the video. A lot of times that's another reason I don't show my face, because sometimes I need to stop and think about what I'm talking about. I got my daughter running around the background a whole lot of times, and she comes up and hits me when I'm in the middle of talking about something, so I need to pause it and think about what I'm talking about. So I just can't do it fluently. So all of that being said, I'm sorry for rambling. Hopefully you get the point of why I wasn't around. There's a ton more I could talk about, but I definitely want to talk about the story that happened we got on November 19th. We got the story about a man dissolving in a Yellowstone hot spring, and that was also the same day we got the story about Mike Pence being harassed at the Hamilton show. But anyway, I got to plug my laptop. So I'm going to say right now, this video is probably going to be pretty long. It's because I'm going to go back and re-explain some things that have happened to me, and it's important to this story. It just might not make sense for a little bit in the story, but these stories coming out on November 19th is super connected to YouTube showing me a bunch of stuff by copyright claiming my old video about 22 Jump Street just minutes after I posted my video about the death of Prince. So anyway, one thing I want to add before I even get into it is I saw this story about the man dissolving in the Yellowstone hot spring on CNN, and my girlfriend was sitting there, and I read the headline to her. I can't remember what the headline was. It wasn't this. It was something more ridiculous than body dissolves after falling into hot spring. Like, when you clicked on it, it changed the headline. But on the actual CNN headline, it said something just ridiculous, and my girlfriend was like, "Are you on Facebook?" And I was like, "No, I'm actually reading the other fake news, CNN stories, whatever." And she was like, "Well, that sounds like one of them fake stories on Facebook, blah, blah, blah." And then I started saying, "Well, CNN's fake, blah, blah, blah." And then she was like, quit talking to me because she doesn't get it and whatever. So I was like, whatever, no big deal. But I just thought it was funny that, she doesn't even like any of this, and she thought that I was reading a fake story, and it was actually coming from CNN because it is fake, but a lot of people don't understand that. Anyway, November 19th, the reason that these stories coming out on November 19th is so special because there's something I've been talking about in regards to the royal family and the English Civil War, and this date was one of them special days in that mix. And I don't exactly know what the whole point is. November 19th can even be 19/11, reminding us a lot of the year 1911 or even 9/11. But 1911 was the year that Ronald Reagan was born. And think about all the parallels between Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. We even had the death of Nancy Reagan and John Hinckley Jr. getting out of prison this year. Tons of stuff with it. But in regards to the royal family and YouTube showing me a bunch of stuff and it connected to this date of November 19th, I put out a video about Prince, the death of Prince, on April 23rd, or it was actually April 22nd, like really close to midnight. And then just after midnight, YouTube gave my old video a copyright claim, and it was a video from 2014. So, what was the point of randomly YouTube copyright claiming a video from 2014 just minutes after I put out my Death of Prince video? But it was about the movie 22 Jump Street. So, anyway, I noticed that copyright claim, it came 165 days after my 33rd birthday. Also 5 months, 13 days, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But the video that they copyright claimed was my video about 22 Jump Street. And 22 Jump Street just so happened to release on June 13th of 2014. In 2016, June 13th was the 165th day of the year. In Gematria, if you read out 22, it also equals 165. Just like Scottish Rite equals 165. June 13th also was the day that King Charles I, the king during the English Civil War, married his wife Henrietta Maria of France. If I can pull that up here. Let's see here. June 13th, also the 165th day of the year, but he married his wife Henrietta Maria of France on that day. And we've had all kinds of stuff in regards to Louisiana and France and just all kinds of stuff in the last couple of years. So just interesting. And I've made tons of videos in regards to the English Civil War and a ton of other stuff. But I want to point out, June 13th, 165th day of the year. The video that I put out about 22 Jump Street, so the movie came out on 6/13 of 2014, and magically the video that I made came out on 11/25, 2014, 165 days later. I mean, I don't know how that happens, and this is the type of stuff that I talk about all the time, how I think there's some type of universal code or that's being manipulated. Somehow the things that I do are being manipulated, whether people want to believe that or not. I mean, I truly know that it's Freemasons and Zionists and people alike that know how to manipulate it, but it's very interesting that some of these things happen and there's no explanation. It doesn't seem to me that a human could do this. It has to be something greater. They either know ancient technology or there's something greater. Lots of people say Jesus, lots of people say demons. I don't know. It could be tons of things. I truly don't know what I believe, and I'm sorry if people don't like that to hear that. I don't know what I believe. I've always been somebody who thinks about things. I never truly believe a lot of things. If you ever have the time and you want to just go back and read a book that I wrote, it's on YouTube in my playlist, The Mindless Freaks. That's why my blog is called The Mindless Freaks. I just wrote down a lot of thoughts that I had over multiple years in this book, and I talk about a lot of stuff. I just truly don't know if we can ever know anything. Sometimes I wonder why I make these videos, but it's because I want to know exactly what is going on, how it's going on. Also, though, if you go read it, there's lots of things I completely disagree with in that book. I've learned a lot since that book, but like I'm telling you, I started writing it in 2007, but it's definitely things that I wrote down from many years before that. And the other day, I even made a post on it because I talk about how numbers don't make sense and, from 2008. But the thing that was happening with this is that at the time there was people on YouTube and other things posting stuff that didn't make sense. They were making numbers look completely ridiculous, and there was no structure behind what they were doing. It was nothing like Gematria. They were just saying Jesus had 12 disciples and died on the 25th day of the 12th month, and they'd add it up and equal 49, and then you add that up, it equals 13, and then multiply it by 3. And people think that's what you're doing with gematria, and that's not the case. There are people out there doing gematria this way. They're doing it where there's not really any structure whatsoever. Once in a while, I do talk about some things, but I always try to mention that, it's possibly just a coincidence or possibly it means nothing. But it's very hard to deny things like Osama bin Laden, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, ISIS. They all equal 56. The word president equals 56. A lot of big things in history equal 56. Flight 77, it's a 77-foot-tall pentagon on the 77th meridian, exactly 77 minutes after takeoff. Stuff like that, it's absolutely undeniable. That's an actual structured thought and a structured way to use gematria. But there's people out there doing stuff like this. They're just making stuff up and making it fit. And that's what I was talking about in this post here, right? Because that's kind of what happens in the movie The Number 23 too. They do things all messed up. He even uses gematria, but he does it a crazy way instead of just doing it a simple way for it to make sense. And that's exactly probably why they made that movie, was to make people look like complete retards when they try to do stuff like that, And there's a lot of bad people out here on YouTube and other places trying to persuade people and make people think that things aren't true when they really are being used. But I guess, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but to get more back on topic. So anyway, I was watching the video that I had on my computer that I had posted on YouTube, and what I did was I put a lot of my old music, I put it behind the book. So if you do go watch it or whatever, you can mute it or whatever. You don't even have to go read it. Not that big of a deal. But when I had this post on there, the song that was playing was a song that I wrote called Tasteless. And, when I wrote this song, what happens in this song is I say, when will you come and see? When will you come and feel? When will you come and hear? And I leave out the word taste, or the sense taste, because I felt like at the time that I wrote the song, like years ago, I think probably 2002 or 3-ish, somewhere around there, I wrote this song because I felt like nobody around me had any taste whatsoever. Everybody just did things because of whatever, and like nobody used their brain, it seemed like, around me. Nobody had taste. And the main line in the song is, ABCs just never meant much to me, and 1, 2, 3s I can't counterfeit. And it also just so happened to be my very first ever YouTube video that I put out. I made some ridiculously stupid YouTube video that I made in Windows Movie Maker. Anyway, the video that I put out just so happened to come out. I put it out on November 19th, 11/19 of 2007, I believe. So once again, that November 19th date, which is pretty weird. And I know I'm way off topic. Hopefully you're following me. But I put out my first ever YouTube video on November 19th. And of course, I even mentioned things about gematria when I had no idea what gematria was. And I'm talking about ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. And the reason in that song, I was saying that people are just so standardized. Like, people just follow everything, that they don't think about things. They just do everything because they're supposed to. They learn the ABCs because that's what we were trained. And then I say 1, 2, 3, I can't counterfeit because I'm just so tired of being a fake person and following through with everything that goes on in society. And, it's impossible to truly break away from society because everything you believed at some point, you've been trained to believe that or something alike. It's very difficult to break away from that. But anyway, let's move on. So I just wanted to show some weird things that have happened to me. And, I'm just showing this universal thing that I'm talking about all the time. I don't know the full answer. I don't know the true answer, but I truly feel like these Freemasons and Zionists truly know how to manipulate what is going on. And it's just very obvious when you read the news and you see the things that some of these people like Donald Trump and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, you see the things that they're doing, some of the things they say. They say things by the numbers. I don't think that it's a coincidence like what is happening here with me. I truly think that these people know what's going on. That's why they're in power, Especially when they say certain things and you just know, there's an agenda. Because I remember one year before the Super Bowl, some lady was interviewing Obama, and she said, "We're going to have a party with 33 people," and Obama just starts, "Ha ha ha ha, 33 people." These people know what's up. They know about the numbers. They use the numbers. They're using it to their advantage. I just want to show one more thing to prove my point. So I rewatched the Comedy Central roast of Donald Trump, and I talked about it clear back in September after the roast of Rob Lowe. But anyway, Trump and Gematria equals 88, and in the background, they have this $1,000 bill that has Grover Cleveland on it. Donald Trump was super synced up to the Cleveland Indians. The Republican National Convention was in Cleveland this year. Grover Cleveland was super connected to. He died 108 days before the Cubs won the World Series, or the 1908 World Series began, the last time the Cubs won, 108 years ago. He was the president in Back to the Future when Marty McFly goes back to 1885. 88 miles an hour for time travel. But look at this. Look at the $1,000 bill here. 88. Remarkably, they put the 88 on here. Trump equals 88. The dollar equals 88 here. I mean, it's just so obvious that they do it on purpose. There's people that know what is going on, and they're using this system to their advantage. So, all of that being said, let's get back to this story. I told you it was going to be a long video. November 19th, too. Oh, sorry. November 19th, so that was the first video I ever put out on YouTube. It was also Jodie Foster's birthday. And think about that in regards to Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump and the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan that was super connected to Jodie Foster because she was in the movie Taxi Driver, and that was partially based off of the Arthur Bremer trying to assassinate George Wallace, the 45th governor of Alabama, and John Hinckley Jr., the guy who tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. He did so after reading the journal or the writings of Arthur Bremer. Donald Trump, the 45th president-elect or whatever. I even talked about the movie Money Monster a while back that came out on May 13th, the 134th day of the year. And all of this goes back to Prince. Prince, who died on Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And if Queen Elizabeth dies, then her son Prince Charles will become the king, and he'll become King Charles III. And during the English Civil War, it was King Charles I, then King Charles II, then King James II, which was King Charles I's other son. But King Charles died at the age of 48. Charles II in Gematria equals 48. Prince Charles, born in the year 48. We even had the closest supermoon this year on Prince Charles's birthday, November 14th. It was the closest supermoon since the year 48. The biggest election upset in American history was in the year 48. Prince Charles, like I said, that was born in the year 48. Israel declared its independence in the year 48. Donald Trump in Gematria equals 48. I think I wrote that in here. Anyway, in regards to Money Monster, who Jodie Foster was like the writer or something. Anyway, it was May 13th was the 134th day this year. King Charles III equals 134 in Gematria. And Earlier when I talked about it, I said my birthday, 11/10, my 33rd birthday to the day that I got this copyright claim, was a span of 5 months, 13 days, reminding us of May 13th yet again. But anything that equals 134 in simple gematria also equals 804 in English gematria. And think about it, this year we had the Flight 804 that supposedly went missing. It was going to Cairo, Egypt, equals 56. Had 56 passengers leaving Paris, France, that equals 56. They blended on ISIS, that equals 56. That big number that I keep telling people that there's something very special. Royal family equals 56. King James Bible equals 56. Black Lives Matter equals 56. Climate change equals 56. I don't know if you've noticed. Lately, they've been doing a whole bunch of stuff with Al Gore and climate change type stuff in the media. I just wanted to point out 134 synced up to May 13th, 5/13. It always equals 804 as well. And last thing I want to point out about November 19th is that King Charles I was born on November 19th in the year 1600. So it's a super special day. I don't exactly know the whole meaning of it, but November 19th symbolically was super special to all of this royal family coding. Notice that he died on January 30th as well. And in this story, the guy who died at the Yellowstone National Park or whatever, his name equals 130 in gematria. You know what? Yellowstone in gematria also equals 165. All of these 165s I'm talking about, 22, Scottish Rite, even the stupid story today, or a few days ago we got the story about the Pizzagate guy who walked in and it was the fake news, and now they're reporting the real news, but he went in there because of the fake news. His name equals 165, like Scottish Rite. I mean, it's just such a joke. I truly think they want people to know. They want people. There's some agenda that they want people awake on their terms. I don't even think they're truly mocking you. It goes clear back. I made a post about Eustace Mullins, a guy who probably woke up a whole lot of people about the Federal Reserve and a ton of other stuff. But I mean, he died certainly by the numbers. Even the book that he wrote, like, it begins by the numbers. It's all super connected to Israel, and supposedly he was a Holocaust denier, hated the Jews. There's a definite agenda that either they're truly mocking us or they want people to be awake for some reason, but they want it to be on their terms. The whole Pizzagate thing. I watched the debate with Zachary K. Hubbard and Jeff C. and can't even think of the other person's name or whatever. But they did keep bringing up the whole thing about the Franklin prostitution ring and the other one. A long time ago, somebody asked me to look into the Franklin one, and I did a little bit. I watched some documentary that supposedly was supposed to be on Discovery Channel, then it wasn't, and the reason I never made a video about it is because the exact reason what Zach talked about with Pizzagate was because I felt like that it was being used for a certain agenda. The main witness in the documentary, his name was Troy Boner, and it was all about, kids being molested, and Lawrence E. King Jr., Larry King, all right, Larry King, the guy on CNN who does all the interviews, he was also born on November 19th. And also, Ted Turner, the guy who owns CNN, born on November 19th. So, once again, I'm telling you, it's a special day for some reason. But I'm just saying, Troy Boner, are you kidding me? Troy Boner. Sorry, my deal runs out every 15 minutes, so I have to add these videos together. But, moral of the story, you get the point. Troy Boner, come on. It just doesn't It doesn't sound that legit to me. It's just one of these stories that they get people to follow. They get people to waste a lot of their energy in. And it doesn't mean that child prostitution and whatever doesn't exist. It's just, it's a fake story that they want people to waste all of their time and energy in, that I feel like it's probably not going to help out as much. And there's a lot of other things to worry about than that one personal story. Just like Zach was talking about in his video, and then we got all the stuff on Pizzagate on the actual mainstream news just days later. Anyway, let's get to this story, because so this man supposedly dissolved in the Yellowstone hot spring, and look at this. Colin Scott and his sister walked into an unauthorized area on June 7th of 2016. So why in the world are we getting this story on CNN in November? How does that make any sense whatsoever? 6/7 is also the day that Prince, the singer, was born. It was also the day that Mike Pence was born. Mike Pence, right? He also got harassed at the Hamilton show the night before. All the media that day on November 19th was about Mike Pence, and then we got this story about the man dissolving in the Yellowstone hot spring. The reason that story came out was because June 7th was 165 days before November 19th. And I even listed in here, Yellowstone equals 165, Scottish Rite 165. Yellowstone equals 48 the small way too, like Donald Trump. All of the 48 stuff I talked about earlier. Mike Pence turned 57 years old. The word Scottish, or the phrase Scottish Rite the small way, equals 57. Earlier in this year, I made a post about the Burr-Hamilton duel, the Aaron Burr-Alexander Hamilton duel. I have it on July 11th of the year 1804. Aaron Burr equals 45 in Gematria. Donald Trump, the 45th president. Mike Pence equals 45 in Gematria. Let's see here. Hamilton died 184 days after his 47th birthday in the year 1804, reminding us a lot of 184. It was also 6 months, 2 days, and he died from a Wagdon pistols. Wagdon pistols is what they were using in the duel or whatever, that equals 62. I also pointed out, I also pointed out that the characters in this musical that are playing Alexander Hamilton and also Aaron Burr, like one guy's a Puerto Rican, one guy is a black guy, which is just completely backwards from what we're told in history. It just seems kind of weird, especially when we're getting all of the race stuff in the news constantly. Just for the last tons of years, 2, 3, 4 years, we've been getting all kinds of race stuff ever since Obama's been in office. I even talked about the movie Can't Buy Me Love and how it connected to the death of Freddie Gray. And, because it stars Patrick Dempsey, the guy who got killed off on Grey's Anatomy. We also had that sex book, can't think of it right now off the top of my head. Gray, whatever. 50 Shades of Gray. And the Confederate Army wore different shades of gray on their uniforms because they were too poor to buy the dye or whatever. But moral of the story, Can't Buy Me Love had the remake that was the black people or whatever with Nick Cannon. So anyway, let's go back to this post here. So if you go to the Burr-Hamilton duel, July 11th to November 19th, a span of 4 months, 8 days, once again reminding us of Donald Trump. Mike Pence is going to be the 48th Vice President of the United States. It was also 4 months, 8 days after the 212th anniversary of the duel. And, there's all kinds of stuff with 212. Prince Charles of Wales in Gematria equals 212. Abraham Lincoln was born on 212, the 43rd day. Became president on 3/4, died 4 years, 3 days after the Civil War began. Civil War equals 43. I mean, I could just go on and on and on about that as well. I talk about the Ronald Reagan stuff there. The geyser that they mentioned in this was Norris geyser, that equals identical to Hillary Clinton. And then I mentioned, in regards to the 212, I mentioned in Abraham Lincoln, I mentioned how, the Hamilton cast, how they did it in a theater, and it was the 153rd anniversary of the Gettysburg Address given by Abraham Lincoln on 11/19 of 1863. 11/19 also super special. James Garfield, one of the presidents who was assassinated, also was born on 11/19 and he died on 9/19. And if you go back to 2015, when Pope Francis started his trip to the United States, he went to Cuba, and think about the death of Fidel Castro and just tons of Cuba coding and Miami and the Orlando stuff. But Pope Francis, he gave a speech on Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address lectern. And there was all kinds of stuff with that as well. So they're super coding the Civil War into Pope Francis's visit, assassinated presidents. I mean, November 19th equals 91 in Gematria. September 19th equals 91 in Gematria. Think about September 19th even. 91/9, a lot like 91 and 19, or 91 and 19, depending on how you look at it. The death of Nancy Reagan was even coded to 9/19. In Gematria, her name equaled 103, 9/19, the day that leaves 103 days in the year. In Jewish Gematria and English Gematria, her name equals 618. If you write that out, it equals 199 and also 919, which reminds us a lot of, well, let's type it out really quick. Reminds us a lot of the date. Well, hold on. 618. 919. Oh, and 199 reminds us of the date, September 19th. It's been a while since I looked that up, but just wanted to make a point once again. There's something significant about Ronald Reagan in the year 1911, and this is November 19th, which can be written as 19/11. In regards to the 153rd anniversary of the Gettysburg Address being given, the 153rd day is 6/2. That leaves 212 days in the year. Hamilton died 6 months, 2 days after his birthday. He was killed by Burr, who was born on 6/2 or 2/6, which also reminds me of Queen Elizabeth. She became the queen on 2/6, born in the year 26, coronated on 6/2. Queen in Gematria equals 26 and 62. 9/19 that I just talked about is the 262nd day of the year, reminding us of 26 and 62 yet again. The headline about Trump and Pence was Pence harassed by Hamilton. In Gematria, harassed equals 48, just like Donald Trump, all the 48 stuff I've talked about. Hamilton equals 38, like the word death. Hamilton cast equals 45. Mike Pence equals 45. Trump's going to be the 45th president. Aaron Burr equals 45. He was the 3rd vice president, so Mike Pence is 45 vice presidents after Aaron Burr. The date that this happened was 11/18 of 2016, a date numerology of 45. Although we got the story the next day on a date numerology of 46. The guy that was speaking on behalf of the cast, he's the one who portrays Aaron Burr in the musical. His name, Brandon Dixon, equals 62. His birthday also 57 days before the article came out. Scottish, right? The small way equals 57. But also it actually happened 56 days after his birthday. President equals 56. He was born in the year 81, the same year as the Ronald Reagan assassination attempt. Mike Pence equals 81 in gematria. He's also born on September 23rd, that special day with Pope Francis. Pope Francis went to he came to America on his 923rd day as Pope, went to the White House at 923, on 923. Ton of other stuff I've talked about in regards to LeBron James and the Warriors winning the finals. Even the Warriors winning the Cavs winning last year was connected to 923. And it also has parallels to 9/11. So he took over the role as Aaron Burr on August 23rd of 2016. If you go from August 23rd to the day we got the story, a span of 88 days. Trump equals 88. He was also famous for his role in The Color Purple. Purple equals 88. Talked about all this in regards to Prince. In gematria, Elizabeth equals 88. Remember, Prince died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday. Purple equals 88. Trump equals 88. King Charles's wife. King Charles was of the Stuart family, right? So it was James Stuart, Charles Stuart. His wife would have been Henrietta Maria Stuart then. Possibly I'm wrong on that, but that's, if she married him, that's what it would be. That equals 88. There's something very special about King Charles's wife. She's from France. Think about the Bavarian Illuminati and a ton of other stuff. There's something super special about her, what's going on with the coding. But in regards to Purple 88, Mike Pence born on the same day as Prince, just 1 year apart. If you go from the death of Prince to November 19th, a span of 212 days. 212 years after Alexander Hamilton dies. Prince Charles of Wales, 212. If you write out the guy who plays Aaron Burr's full name, Brandon Victor Dixon, it equals 95, just like the word vice president. But the reason I brought up all of the royalty stuff was because clear back when we got the Orlando shooting or the Orlando nightclub stuff. Hold on. I don't know if it was the same day. I think it was the same day as the 70th Tony Awards. And I talked about how it had Hamilton was the big deal. It also had the revival of The Color Purple. But one of the things I had talked about is they honored a play called King Charles III. The odds. They have a thing about King Charles III. There's all kinds of Charles coding all year last year. The Carolinas are named after King Charles during the English Civil War. Every sports championship last year involved the Carolinas or something to do with the royal family. A Cavalier is a follower of King Charles during the English Civil War. You had Alabama defeat Clemson in the national football title or whatever, national championship. Clemson from South Carolina. The Carolina Panthers lost to the Broncos. North Carolina lost to Villanova. And then we even had Coastal Carolina, who won the College World Series. So, just interesting to have this play there at the Tonys. King Charles III, it came out in 2014. Something I've been talking about for a long time. I even talked about how The Color Purple is synced up to King Charles as well. They had this, in Iowa, there was a story about this plant, or this weed growing called Creeping Charlie that equals 88. Think about it's a purple plant even, or weed. Think about Charles and purple. Iowa and gematria equals 48. Donald Trump equals 48. Mike Pence is supposedly going to be the 48th vice president. You know, Charles the First, like I said, all of this before, but Charles the First died at age 48. Charles the Second in gematria equals 48. Prince Charles born in the year 48. Lots and lots of stuff connected to 48. Possibly that's why we got the story about Prince, creeping Charlie in, a purple plant in Iowa. But hopefully all this makes sense. I'm starting to get tired. I haven't made a video in a while. I'm losing my train of thought, like I've said I was going to do in the beginning of the video. But I wanted to show some weird things that have been going on, just exposing the same stuff that I talk about. I just truly think there's something, there's something greater that goes on. I never mentioned this either. Donald Trump was born on the 165th day of the year in 1946. And he was also born on the night of a blood moon. And there's been something very special with all of the moon stuff. Like I said, Prince Charles's 68th birthday was on the night of the extra supermoon, and the last extra closest supermoon was from the year 48. I just forgot to mention that. But yeah, hopefully all this stuff makes sense. There's a lot of stuff going on. I haven't been posting for a few weeks. I kind of forgot some of the stuff. Trying to remember like what I had posted. It kind of doesn't make sense in my head sometimes. But leave it at that. Sorry. Have a good one.